Is Xbox cooked? What they've revealed from Fallout lately hasn't looked so good. That being said, season 2 of the TV show is coming out. Halo is supposed to get revealed pretty soon. We're a little worried about that one. Call of Duty apparently is losing the battle to Battlefield. However, I will say pretty much everything they've announced recently for Call of Duty has been absolute bangers. So I don't know. Is Xbox cooked? For the person we're looking at today, Linus, I didn't expect a video like this from him, hence why we are watching it. He says Xbox might be cooked, and as I look in the background here, I'm pretty sure he's shooting in an Xbox room, which I'm not going to lie is pretty dope. He also has his face on an Xbox, so there's that as well. So let's dive in.
Microsoft is in the news for hiking the price of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate again, and this time by 50%. Leading to
this is, I believe, 2 price hikes in a year. First, it was $10 to $15, and then it was $15 to $30.
An historic surge of angry gamers smashing the unsubscribe button. And it has everyone from Microsoft's partners to the press to even individual gamers asking themselves, what the hell is going on at Xbox? I mean, one day, Microsoft is celebrating, hey, Game Pass is totally making tons of money, whoa! And then the next day they're like, actually, we're gonna need more money from you? Thanks. On one hand, they're probably...
I don't know if he's gonna talk about this, but there's reports that Xbox is aiming for 30%, 30% on extra revenue this year, which is well above industry standards, like well above. So
saying new Xboxes are coming for really actually real this time. And then on the other hand, they're like, look at me, your phone is the Xbox now. The same day that Phil Spencer sent out a memo that said, our game roadmap has never looked stronger, they notified Xbox employees of a 10% staff reduction across several
apparently
studios,
another one's coming in January.
The cancellation of multiple games. Well, which is it, Microsoft? Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. I mean, it shouldn't surprise us that much. If we go back to 2013, there was that time Microsoft...
So the other day, Steph, I said the snip snaps thing to Steph. Steph's like the person I live with, fiance, wife, whatever you want to call her. She's the best. The other day I showed her the snip snap thing. She's never seen that. She's never watched The Office. So I'm like, okay, now we're going down a rabbit hole. So then I had to show her the rest of that episode with the little TV. And then I had to show her the bloopers of the TV. And I told her, I'm like, this is like the funniest episode of a TV show. We were dying laugh. I don't know. He said snip snap. So
forgot they were making a game console.
Xbox, go home.
But more recently, these WTF moments seem to be happening more and more frequently to the point where it's raising the question, is Xbox even going to exist within another generation or two? Which is a huge problem because even though I've never actually owned one personally, I 100% appreciate the value of having Xbox as a player in the space. There's so few console makers now, and seeing one of the major makers bow out now would be a big problem for competition.
I have owned a lot of Xboxes, and I'm also really terrified of a gaming future where Sony and Nintendo
that is very true.
Are gonna have free reign to do whatever they like. Free reign, like do our segues to our sponsors.
Hetzner. Get a powerful and scalable data storage solution that locks things down to GDPR and strict German privacy law standards with Hetzner. Click our link and use code LTT25 to get $20 off their S3 compatible object storage solution today. It would be easy for us to kick this off with a crackdown on Xbox for all of its many problems these days, but let's give credit where it's due. $30 a month multiplied by 12 is $360.
Oh my God, we're so back. We're living in the 360 era again. Let's go.
Okay.
You have to make that joke.
Xbox and PC Game Pass have been a great value for a lot of gamers. They've allowed people to try out experiences they might have otherwise overlooked.
So again, I've talked about this before, but the numbers behind it say that most gamers only buy like one game a year. And I think it's like 60% don't even buy one game a year. It's like they buy one, they play the hell out of it. That's why live services are so the way that they are. If you can get that one person's attention, that's how you build your audience.
Eyes on games that might have struggled to find an audience, and, according to some devs, even provided a stabilizing, de-risking presence for some smaller indie releases. It's been so good, in fact, that the service has frankly overshadowed their hardware for quite a while now, which is a shame because Xbox's hardware has also been traditionally pretty darn solid. We're PC people, which means we're often deriding consoles for their aging mid-tier hardware, but when you bear down on what you get for your dollar, it's kind of hard to argue with the original MSRPs of the series lineup.
Original.
Ignore the 2 price hikes for a minute. We'll get to those later. Point is, for a long time, the combination of an Xbox Series S, or even the X for that matter, plus Game Pass was a pretty killer entry point into high fidelity gaming. And this next one.
The thing that you have to remember is, I feel like a lot of people forget about this. On Xbox, I was like, when I played Xbox 360, I was paying like, what was it, $10 a month just to have Xbox Gold. And that was just to play online. I didn't get any extra games or anything like that. Like everyone did. Everyone that had Xbox did. I think, was it $10 a month? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was $10 a month.
Benefits us less, but you gotta give credit, I guess, to Xbox's business side for successfully accumulating new studios and publishers like a gem-hungry Thanos. It has drastically increased their overall gaming revenue, and to Microsoft's credit, for better or for worse, they haven't greedily gatekept those franchise stones from the competition, which kind of plays into what looks to us like what might be a big switch away from hardware and toward providing services.
And that's what they're doing.
Now, Xbox has stated many times that they do have more Xbox hardware on the way, but honestly, each press release feels less and less like an exciting promise and more like damage control over some bad headlines. Through both the naming of the current 2-tier generation and the fact that seemingly everything with the screen could...
They needed to call the Xbox after 360 720. They needed to. It was the old, like, going to Xbox One and then Xbox One X and then Series S and Series X. Like, whoever thought of those names is the worst. I am in the gaming community, and I don't play on an Xbox because I just play on PC. But I don't know which. I'm pretty sure X is the more powerful one, just because it kind of sounds that way. But I'm not sure.
Technically be an Xbox. Microsoft is telling us that a singular Xbox is not at the center of their game plan. And that means that resources which used to be spent on making the ultimate Xbox experience in one place, like engineering and design time, are trickling out to make their streaming app pretty okay on your LG TV or your Samsung phone.
Or your car.
You can kind of see this change with the first-party Xbox handheld being canned, in part due to Microsoft not being so confident they could sell 10 million of them, which, to be fair...
That's fair.
Not even the Steam Deck has sold that many units. Instead, we're seeing Big Green offload their work and the risk to simply facilitate the release of an Asus handheld with an Xbox button. And although this might seem just like a neat little side quest that should have little bearing on the future of Master Chief's chefs, it does raise major questions about a shift in paradigm at the old Redmond offices.
Microsoft once fought hard to make their own hardware. Take the Surface, for example, Microsoft's tablet and laptop lineup. They could have easily maintained status quo, just building their software as bestest as they can and letting the various OEMs build their systems around it. But instead, they invested many millions of dollars to design and build devices from the ground up with custom parts and, this is important, full control of the compromises that make a Surface a Surface. And that point is really important.
Okay, so a lot of times when these like industry standard businesses do something like that, there's an ulterior motive behind it. And this one, I don't think there is. A great example I can give you is years ago, I want to say 15 plus years ago, Google came out and said, you know what, internet's not fast enough for everyone to be able to use Google. So we're just going to make our own internet. We're going to call it Google Fiber. We're going to give everyone fiber internet. And what that did, and they started doing it in a couple different places, but they didn't end up going everywhere. Why? Because their goal wasn't to actually build this service called Google Fiber. It was to push the other companies, the Verizons, these companies to get faster internet so more people could use their products. I was wondering if this was going to be something like that. I don't think it is, but I could be wrong.
Pretty much every piece of consumer tech has some kind of compromise at its core. Now, usually, these compromises are to keep the cost of manufacturing down so that the price doesn't go too high. Things like skipping out on an OLED screen or making the disk drive a separate thing. But sometimes these compromises could be to the margin of the manufacturer. Say, for example, because they intend to make it back when they sell you software down the road. That's the big deal breaker with the new ASUS Xbox handhelds. Microsoft isn't subsidizing the cost, and ASUS has to make money on every unit sold because they don't.
So I understand what he's saying here. So basically, on Xboxes and consoles, the reason why they could be so cheap comparatively is just because then down the line you buy one of their consoles, then you're going to buy games, you're going to buy things on their consoles, making them money down the road as opposed to on the sale of the consoles. They didn't do that with this, so you're not buying into that ecosystem in the same way.
Get a 30% cut of whatever you buy in the Xbox store. So the one you actually want is $1,000 US. I mean, that's not that unreasonable given the hardware that's in it and what the costs of it are. But I mean, that is galaxies away from mainstream pricing. And it's another signal, on top of the increased cost of services and the increased cost of Microsoft's own hardware, that Xbox just is not focused on bringing the best value in gaming, at least not the way they used to be. But then if Microsoft is just getting OEMs to make their hardware for them now, is Xbox just a logo and Windows?
Hey, what's so
Kind
bad
of.
about Windows being at the center of the future of Xbox? I mean, Windows has phenomenal cosmic compatibility and itty bitty little issues that really do add up. Windows has primarily been a mouse and keyboard product, and using a joypad or touchscreen to navigate currently sucks. The years of patchwork development, multiple releases, and the need for their OS to do everything, not just games, means that there's a ton of inefficiencies and extra processes in the background versus something like SteamOS. Microsoft is working on these issues. Their new Windows handheld mode.
Okay. We're going to catch strays here. I don't like when people complain about this. I think it's a stupid thing to complain about. Of course, a Steam OS is going to perform better for video games than Windows. Windows is designed for all of these different things. I use Windows now. I'm not a Linux person. I'm not smart enough to use Linux, just to be clear. But Windows, I browse the internet, I upload videos, I do all of that kind of stuff on the internet. I have video rendering software, which all works on Windows. I have Photoshop, which I need to use on Windows. I have all of these different apps and all of these things. They all work. And video games work. Maybe not as well as on Linux or on SteamOS or things like that, but I can't go on SteamOS and render a video, right? So it's a combination of ease of use and best use scenario. There's a reason why I don't use Apple, and that is like Apple products, Apple computers, and that's because a lot of the things that I use on my Windows PC just don't work on Apple's. Also, I really hate the mouse. I really hate the mouse. I can't get into it. I'm sorry. Okay. But yeah, he's absolutely right when he says use a controller to navigate Windows. It doesn't work. Use a touch screen to navigate Windows. Steph does it. I don't know how the hell she does it, but she does it. I can't. Right. So I get that side of it, but at the same time, what Windows is created for is one thing, and now they're trying to adapt it to video games, and lo and behold, apparently did a decent job with the Asus ROG Ally X, but there's still room for improvement there, I guess is what we're saying.
Might actually release before this video does. But what they will never fix is a miscreant's ability to win every match in every lobby by nefarious means. You can't lock Windows down enough to prevent cheating. And they can't really prevent other storefronts from appearing on it, which from a gamer standpoint
Is awesome.
is pretty freaking great. We love competition. But from Microsoft's perspective, this sucks. Unlike a lockdown console ecosystem, Xbox's services on Windows are just one of several options. They have to keep the value of PC Game Pass much more competitive than on Xbox. There is also an Xbox game storefront on PC, but do you know anyone who buys games from there? I don't think so. And while I've heard the fan theories that Xbox is desperate to get Game Pass on competing console platforms, I just don't see that happening. For one, their primary competitors are not interested in having Game Pass in their ecosystem. Nintendo, Sony, and Valve all make their money selling games. And having a competing service that does measurably reduce the amount of games sold is not good business. 2, even if they do let Microsoft weasel its way in, they are simply not going to do so without taking their cut, probably something like 30%. And at that point, I don't think Game Pass...
So in other words, like, Steam has already been announced that it's on these kind of things, so...
can take that big of a hit and remain profitable. And 3, this might be the biggest one, Microsoft has signaled that having their biggest hitters as day one offerings on Game Pass loses them a lot of potential money.
This is going to be the Call of Duty talk?
$300 million they left on the table with the latest Call of Duty. Right now, Microsoft gets to eat their cake with 37 million Game Pass subs and have it too by still selling millions of copies to PlayStation owners. Black Ops 6 was the highest grossing title in franchise history. And this isn't just a COD thing. Microsoft has been the top publisher on PlayStation for several months. And so,
yeah, that's like actually a thing I do not hear a lot of people talking about. If you go look at the #1 games on PlayStation right now, they're Xbox games. Like, it's pretty wild.
Even though it feels like Microsoft
Call of Duty being one of them,
themselves in the foot at every possible occasion, and even though customers are seemingly turning on Xbox in every market, and even though their piece of the hardware pie keeps shrinking, their gaming division is making more revenue than ever in the history of all of Xbox. Just because I don't like what they're doing doesn't mean it isn't working for them.
And while I really...
This is the only video I have seen say that. This is it. This is the only one. In a video where they say, like, Xbox is cooked, that's the title. Every single one of them, they're like, Xbox is over. They're making more money than ever before. And they just went on record to say that they're going to be making more money than any other company doing this kind of thing. So they're doing something right for them. Now, that doesn't mean it won't have backlash in the long run, but clearly right now it doesn't.
Disagree with some of their moves. I think the discussion is less about Microsoft's failing strategy and more about them acknowledging the situation. That games exclusivity driving console sales as a primary revenue stream is a thing of generations past.
And they have acknowledged that.
Them. But with that said, even Sony is smelling the roses these days. The PS5 has arguably Sony's weakest lineup ever of exclusives, and yet it's their most profitable generation ever, which just goes to show people are still buying the consoles, even without the killer apps. But thanks to capitalism, no competition means that the monopoly charges whatever the heck they want. So please, Valve, please have the new Steam machines be good. Make them a real competitor for a 4K gaming system. Help me, Gabe Kenewell. You're our only hope. Just like this segue is...
You got another sponsor?
A new hope for our sponsor.
They got a lot of sponsors.
We're partnering with Vessi to bring you an exclusive October giveaway extravaganza. Enter for a chance to win one of 7 prize packs, each loaded
12-minute video is kind of
LTC
wild.
Store merch, and more. Up for grabs is footwear like their Stormburst high tops, our very own commuter backpack, Sony XM6 headphones, and some secret to-be-announced prizes. It is 100% free to enter, but if you're looking for some stylish shoes to protect yourself from the rain now, we've got a special 20% discount for you that is valid until the end of the month. So don't wait. Head over to Vessi.com/LMG and enter the giveaway today and get an instant 20% off code sent directly to your inbox. Everything closes.
I have a weird question. How long has Linus had braces? I know it's a weird question, but seriously, how long has he had braces? I feel like he has had braces for like 7 years. Am I wrong? I might be wrong.
October 31st. So act fast. Once again, that's Vessi.com/LMG to take part in an exclusive giveaway and to secure your 20% off code. If you like discussions about consoles...
Oh, it was over. It was over. So to answer the question, is Xbox cooked? Nope. Is PlayStation cooked? Nope. They're all making more money than ever before, and this is a trend that's a very, very big thing. If you look back, this is a hot topic, but if you look back through COVID, grocery stores are failing, restaurants are failing. Well, did you know that grocery stores made more money than ever before during COVID? Did you know a lot of restaurants actually found that they made more money when they didn't have to pay wait staff and everything and they were just sending out food. Ghost kitchens became a thing. People are making more money than ever before in this climate. There's just also a lot of people who aren't, because where those went up, well, what happened to the waiters and waitresses? What happened to the smaller companies? And if Xbox does indeed not make a console, that doesn't mean Xbox is done for. That means we as consumers are done for, because as soon as PlayStation has that monopoly on all of those games on the console, we have a problem. Now, what I'm hoping is if Xbox says, you know what, we're going to make a console, but it's going to be a PC console, it's going to run Windows, I'm hoping another company comes in and goes, well, if they can do that, we can do that. We'll just run their software on it. And then boom, we have Steam on consoles, we have this, and then that will be the competitor to, it will be many companies against PlayStation. Maybe. I might just be a little too positive.